In a world divided by wealth and expectations, two hearts refuse to play by the rules. Ted, a boy who grew up with empty pockets but a fire in his soul. Barbara, a girl born into elegance, yet longing for something real. Their meeting was an accident. Their love, inevitable. But every choice has consequences, and every feeling demands courage. From whispered confessions under street lamps to battles against family judgment, from heartbreak to unbreachable devotion, Ted and Barbara will discover that love isn't a fairy tale, it's a fight. And some loves are worth everything. A story about passion, sacrifice, and the kind of connection that refuses to fade, no matter the obstacles, no matter the cost.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
Uneven shores of one love. Ted was born on the outskirts of a small town, where mornings smelled like fresh bread from the bakery across the street and evenings were wrapped in stillness broken only by the neighbor's old dog. His family lived modestly. His mother worked night shifts as a nurse, and his father took whatever jobs he could, fixing roofs, repairing fences, helping on construction sites. Ted never treated poverty as a burden. To him it was simply the backdrop of his life. The place where he learned how to be kind, hardworking, attentive to the smallest details. Barbara grew up in a different world entirely. A large house, crystal chandeliers that sparkled even on gray mornings, and dinner table conversations that often sounded like rehearsed debates. Her father was a successful businessman. Her mother owned an art gallery. And in all this elegance, Barbara sometimes felt like a guest in her own life, as if everything around her was too polished to be real. They met by accident, as all fateful things usually happen. It was early fall, the leaves had just begun to turn yellow, and the streets smelled like wet pavement after morning rain. Ted worked as a bicycle courier, fast job, modest pay, but full of freedom. That evening he was rushing through the city center, where a contemporary art exhibition had just ended. People walked out of the gallery laughing, taking photos, and Barbara stood slightly aside, holding the exhibition catalog to her chest. Her car refused to start, her driver was late, and she nervously played with the keys in her hand. As Ted flew past, a guest stepped backward, and Ted had to brake sharply, splashing a puddle right onto Barbara's shoes. "Oh no," he exhaled, terrified. I'm so sorry." Barbara looked at her shoes, then at him, and instead of getting angry, she suddenly laughed. Softly, tiredly, but sincerely. "It's just water," she said. "I'm alive. It's okay." He blinked in surprise. People, from her world, rarely reacted like that. "I can compensate? Or at least bring you a napkin? I'm really embarrassed. You can just walk me to the street. My car doesn't want to cooperate today." And that was their first small step. Walking beside him, she noticed how his nervous embarrassment slowly turned into gentle confidence. He showed her a shortcut, told her a funny story about an old pigeon on his roof who controlled the entire neighborhood of cats. Barbara laughed, tipping her head back just enough for her golden hair to catch the streetlights. They parted quickly, almost shyly, but when she got into her finally started car, their eyes met again. A glance that whispered, "Will we meet again?" They met the very next day. Barbara came back to the same street and simply waited. Ted rode by, braked instantly, and grinned. "Forgot to ruin another pair of shoes?" he joked. Barbara shrugged. "Maybe I just wanted to take a walk. And you seem to know interesting paths." From that day on, they walked together each evening. He showed her the real city. Tiny cafes with cheap coffee, a basement bookstore where the old owner knew every book by smell, small parks where leaves danced in the lamplight. She showed him her world, museums, hidden gardens behind estates, soft classical music. They loved each other's contrasts. Barbara loved the way he noticed everything. A cat in a window, a leaf on a bench, a melody someone hummed inside a building. Ted loved the way she looked at the world, as if it turned new when she was with him. Their romance was beautiful, but the world around them wasn't silent. Her parents were the first to find out. Their reaction was cold, polished, like the marble in their foyer. "He's a good man," Barbara said firmly but gently. "He's nobody," her father replied. "No education, no future, nothing to offer. He will pull you down." She slammed the door on her way out. But hours later, she cried in her room, not from shame, but from the pain of being forced to justify her love before it even had a chance to grow. Ted also suffered. He knew the difference between their worlds. He wasn't sure he deserved a woman like her. Some nights he sat by his window, wondering if he had the right to dream of her. But when they met, all doubts dissolved. Their touches were warm, their kisses passionate. Each one a small fight against fate, a soft rebellion against everything that said they didn't belong together. Barbara loved his sincerity. Ted loved her tenderness beneath all that elegance. They kissed on rooftops under streetlights. He warmed her hands in cold evenings. She left little notes in his jacket pockets. "You feel like freedom. You're the reason I smile in the mornings." One evening he brought her home to his mother. She served tea in mismatched cups. Barbara held them like treasures and said softly, "It feels so warm here." And for the first time Ted felt his world had value. Everything collapsed the night her father gave her an ultimatum. "Es or him." Barbara didn't answer. She just walked out. Tears streamed down her face when she came to Ted. He had never seen her so broken. He wrapped her in his arms. "I won't let you lose your family because of me. I don't want to lose you," she whispered. That night they became truly close, not just physically but in every way two souls can be. Slowly, things softened. Her parents saw she wouldn't give up. Her mother, tired of the fight, finally said, "Don't we want her to be happy?" Ted got a new job at a small company. He studied at nights. He tried to build a future worthy of her. And one sunny day, on the rooftop where their love began, he whispered, "Barbara, be mine. Always." She laughed. That same laugh that charmed him on day one. "I've been yours for a long time." When I think back to our first months after the engagement, I still remember the smell of warm bread, cheap coffee, and the evenings we spent sitting on the windowsill of Ted's tiny old apartment. Ted didn't know yet that his life was about to change. But I did. He was meant for more than the poverty he grew up in. It wasn't the grand celebration my father envisioned. Instead, we had a small ceremony in a garden outside the city. Just close friends and family, candlelight, jasmine blooming in the evening air. My dress was simple and soft, and when I walked toward Ted, barefoot on the grass, he looked at me as if I wasn't walking but floating. "You're my most beautiful little miracle," he whispered, taking my hands. I laughed. I always laughed at the things he said, not because they were funny, but because they were real. After the ceremony, we danced to an old melody on a dusty tape recorder. Ted's mother cried softly. My father stood quietly. For the first time, I saw his hands tremble. Maybe he realized I didn't choose money. I chose love. We started in a small rented apartment on the 4th floor. Crooked walls, windows that stuck sometimes, but I woke up beside Ted, and that made it feel like a palace. He came home tired, dusty from work, hands scratched, but always smiling the moment he saw me. "Barbie, I'm sure we'll have our own business someday. A real one. I can feel it." I believed in him more than he believed in himself. One evening, over tea and cookies, he said, "I want to try opening a repair business. Something small, but mine." I put my hand on his. "Ted, you can do so much more than you think. I'm with you. Always." We sold my old ring, the one my father had given me for my 18th birthday. I didn't regret it for a second. I already wore the only ring that mattered, the one Ted placed on my finger at the wedding. That's how his journey began. The first months were tough. He worked long hours, came home exhausted, sometimes frustrated. But every time he smiled at me, I knew he was walking the right road. Little by little, clients appeared. Some recommended him to friends. Some came back again. Ted had a gift. He listened. To people's houses, to their worries, to their hopes. 2 years later, he hired his first 2 workers. 3 more years, and he rented an office. When he first took me there, he leaned against the doorframe, looking at me like a little boy who finally built his first treehouse. "I really did it, right?" he asked softly. I hugged him. "We did it. We moved into a house. Not big, but bright. 2 favorite mugs in the kitchen. His cracked blue one, my gold-rimmed one. Morning kisses on my shoulder. Silly arguments about the lights, groceries, forgotten keys, and always making peace before bed, because neither of us could sleep if even a shadow hung between us. On weekends we went back to the street where we first met. That's where my life started, Ted always said. And I always answered, that's where destiny stopped the world for a minute, just to give me you. Ted never became a millionaire, but his business grew enough to give us stability and comfort. We didn't live in luxury, but we lived warmly. And that was everything to me. One evening I sat on our porch watching the sunset reflect off the roof. Ted was in the garage fixing something, humming to himself. Suddenly I realized, I never wanted a wealthy life. I wanted a life with him. And I had more than I ever dreamed of. He walked out, wiping his hands on a cloth. I smiled and said, "Ted, you've made me the happiest woman in the world." He chuckled.
Посмотрите на бронзовую фигуру, установленную 8 января 1988 года на 3-метровом гранитном круге. Комитас сидит на стволе дерева с вырванными корнями и сухими ветвями, такими же, какими стали его душа и жизнь после ужасов 1915 года. Руки опущены, взгляд полон тихой боли, но в этой боли бесконечная любовь. Подойдите ближе и прислушайтесь, здесь даже в тишине звучит музыка, та самая, которую он спас для нас. Это не просто памятник, а вечный аккорд, который никогда не отпустит ваше сердце, место, где даже молчание поет.
True love doesn't care about wealth or status. It grows where two people stand side by side, even when the world doubts them. The most precious things can't be bought. They are built day by day through honesty, trust, care, and the courage to stay when life gets difficult. Love overcomes prejudice when one heart recognizes the one meant for it.